Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I'm your host Eric Smith, and today I'm trying to put that paper over there. Today I'm talking about White Trash Gothic by Edward Lee. This is from Deadite Press. There you go. That's a freaky cover. And White Trash Gothic is about a writer. We never learn his name. He's just referred to as the writer, or Edward Lee uses that thing where when he says his name, it's just blanks. But this writer has amnesia. He doesn't remember anything about his life. He's, been told that he's a writer. A very, I don't know. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Pretentious. Sort of a pretentious writer, I think. And 20 years ago, before he had this amnesia, there was a single page of a new book found in a typewriter in a town down south. And the title of this was going to be White Trash Gothic. So the writer's shrink says if he wants to start triggering memories, maybe he should sort of follow these clues, and he finds out where this town was, where this single page was written, and it is Luntville. And so he goes down there hoping to trigger some memories. And that's the start of this crazy story. And this is a crazy story. I mean, it's Edward Lee at his wildest. Now, right off the bat, if you are a constant reader, to steal a phrase from somebody else, a constant reader of Edward Lee, there are so many Easter eggs in this book. There are references to so many other Edward Lee books, characters, incidents, just tons and tons of stuff. But you don't have to have read any other Edward Lee to read this book. It is its own story. It explains everything you're going to... Well, it's part one. There is a to be continued at the end. So with a caveat, it does explain everything you're going to need to know to read and enjoy this story. You don't have to have read anything else. But if you have, you're going to get a kick, I think, out of spotting on all the other things that are in here. And I'm sure, even though I've read a bunch of Edward Lee, I'm sure there are things I've missed. It's been years and years and years that I've been reading Edward Lee, and so I don't remember every little thing. So it's possible I missed some things. But this is sort of a culmination, I don't know if that's the proper term to use, of Edward Lee. It's sort of, it's him throwing it all in, being his most Edward Lee, with the over-the-top sex and violence and craziness and southernness. Maybe that's not the best way to put it, because that's sort of disparaging to people from the South. His most, well, I suppose it's right there in the title, his white trashiest. The writer, kind of a pretentious character, but that's what he's supposed to be. The other characters that we're introduced to, some we get to know more than others. They're all interesting and fun. Snowy and Dawn, I would say, are the two most important secondary characters, and I like both of them. I like their friendship, their rivalry, the way they interact. They're a lot of fun. And we meet some other people here and there. And as I said, there is a to be continued at the end. There it is, spoilers. So some of the other characters we meet, one in particular I think is going to, I assume anyway, is going to play perhaps a bigger role. We'll see. I don't want to go into too much detail, because if you're a fan of Edward Lee, if you're a fan of crazy, over-the-top, extreme, hilarious Edward Lee type stuff, you should be reading this book. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. The writer goes down to Luntville, trying to trigger his memories, and things happen. He sort of gets pulled into different things, and there's a local legend that he gets involved in, and he's sort of, there's pictures, he's staying at I guess it's more of a bed and breakfast. Well, it's an inn, I suppose. And there are pictures on the walls of this person that looks very familiar to him, and he can't quite place who it is. So that's kind of a little bit of a mystery, except, again, if you've read Edward Lee, it's not much of a mystery. You know who it's going to turn out to be. One of the things I really like about this is the style in which it is written is very heady. Is that the word I'm looking for? It's erudite. Am I using that properly? It's written as if it was written by this sort of pretentious writer, which it's not in first person. But it's a lot of very verbose language. Let me see. I was hoping I could just find a quick little sentence or two that would sort of give you an idea. And I meant to do this ahead of time, but I forgot to. Anyway, so it is this sort of very, it's not super thick writing, but it is sort of this, again, the way I imagine this sort of pretentious writer would write something, and yet you contrast that with the, well, white trashness of what's actually happening, which is, I think it's a strength of Edward Lee that he can make these two disparate elements work together and sort of highlight each other. And I just love that. I love the way that works. That he's, you could be reading Finnegan's Wake. I don't know. I've never read that. And yet you've got people having weird sex, and there's snuff films, and there's violence, and there's dead dicking. Read it to find out what dead dicking is. And there's graffiti that the big head was here, and there's just a CKC. And again, you got to read the book to find out what a CKC is. But you contrast with the style in which it's written, and it's really two things that shouldn't fit, but they fit perfectly. I love it. Love the way this is written. And the characters, the over-the-topness of it is quintessential Edward Lee. I have parts 2 and 3. I'm going to have to get to them soon, but as regular viewers know, I have so much to read, and I have not been reading nearly as much as I should be this year so far. Trying to catch up. But White Trash Gothic, great book. Great Edward Lee. This isn't going to be a masterpiece of literature. It's not, for the hoity-toity. Is that right? I don't know. But it's good. I was going to say good, clean fun, but that's way off. It's good, dirty fun. That's not quite right either. It's good, extreme fun. That's a little closer. But highly recommended. I think, see, now we're getting to the point where I can't remember I think I gave it 4. I at least gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. Or maybe this is the one. There was something I couldn't find on Goodreads. This could have been it. So maybe I didn't even rate it. I don't know. Anyway, all right, I'm recommending it to you. Who cares about Goodreads? So there you go. White Trash Gothic by Edward Lee. Highly recommended. If you're not squeamish, if you don't mind extreme sex and violence and craziness. So there you go. Do you have any comments, questions, or corrections? Put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to follow me on social media, my Twitter is @Ronin5757, and my Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comics, tabletop games, and occasionally animals. My Instagram is ErikSmith5757. That's Eric with a K, ErikSmith 5757. And that's all I've got. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Erik Smith. And until next time, read more books.